Okay, I want to show you how the body is formed, how it sometimes goes wrong, and what can be done about it. In the beginning, you started off as just a tiny sperm and an egg. The egg is much bigger than the sperm, so this is not drawn to scale. When these two cells join together, they begin to divide, and soon it looks like a small mulberry, and that's why they call it a mulberry mass or a morula. Around the 16th day, the first thing that begins to appear on this little ball of cells is a little streak or canal. This is called the primitive streak. This is what eventually develops into the spinal cord. The next thing to appear is a bump at the top end of the primitive streak. This bump is what eventually develops into the brain. The next thing that happens is that nerves begin to form. It's basically a little electrical system. Next, organs begin to form at the ends of the nerves, and arms, legs, hands, and feet begin to develop. The main thing that I want you to get here is that it's not a random sequence of events. It's directed and controlled by an innate intelligence. This innate intelligence uses one organ in the body to control the rest of it, and that organ is the brain. 100% of the body is under the direction and control of the brain. All through our lives, there is a continuous flow of energy that flows from the brain to every organ, gland, and muscle and cell of the body, and then back to let the brain know what's going on. When we are born, there is a skull around our brain to protect it. Around the spinal cord, vertebrae develop to protect it. It's like a bunch of donuts with a hole going down through the center for the spinal cord. Just as electrical cables are protected by electrical conduit or pipes, this is how the spinal cord is protected by the spine. And as long as each part of the body gets 100% of the nerve supply to and from the brain to make it function properly, it will do so. If a person has a fall or gets a bump that is hard enough to knock a vertebrae out of place like this, and it pinches this nerve, let's say this organ only gets 40% of its normal nerve supply, then what will happen here in the organ? It won't function at its best, will it? It can't. It's only getting 40%. There may be pain or there may not be, depending on whether or not a sensory nerve is pinched and what the function of that organ is. There was a study at the University of Colorado where they found that if you put just 10 millimeters of pressure on a nerve, that it will slow impulses on that nerve by 40%, and 20 millimeters of pressure will shut the nerve flow by 60%. You know when they take your blood pressure and they pump the thing up to 150 or 200 millimeters of pressure on your arm? Well, we're only talking about 10 or 20 millimeters of pressure. A lot less pressure is required on a nerve to disturb the energy flow than we used to think. When this condition exists, this organ will have a lowered resistance, and if this person's body were to be attacked by germs, bacteria, or virus, where do you think it would attack? That's right, the weakened area with the lowest resistance. This organ is more susceptible to disease invasion because it has a lowered resistance. I'm not saying that these other organs could not become diseased, it's just that they're less vulnerable because they have a higher resistance. You see, right now, each of you has strep throat germs in your throat and maybe even tubercular bacillus in your lungs, but you do not have strep throat or tuberculosis because of the resistance of the life force. Let's say here lie the remains of a person. The person is dead. The life force or innate intelligence is gone. What do the bacteria, fungi, and all the rest do with this body? They decompose it or eat it up. That's their job. They do not attack healthy, high-resistance cells, only sick, dead, or dying cells. All of our lives, what have we been told is the cause of disease and sickness? Germs. That's right. But did germs cause this condition? They were part of it, but lowered resistance is what really caused it, wasn't it? There was an interesting autopsy study at the University of Pennsylvania where they looked at 139 diseased organs in different people. Some of the organs had uncontrolled tissue cell growth, like cancer and tumors in them, And in this study, they traced from the bad organs back to the spine along the nerve, and they found that out of the 139 organs that had serious problems, there were 138 of them that had a misaligned vertebrae and a pinched nerve at the spine corresponding to the diseased organ at the other end of the nerve. 138 out of 139, all but one. Do you see the importance of the study? That study was done by medical doctors. If it had been done by chiropractors, they might have found that last one. The big difference between a chiropractor and other doctors is this. When a vertebrae gets misaligned here at the spine and pinches a nerve and interferes with the vital life force energy from the brain and causes a malfunction out here at the end of the nerve, most other kinds of doctors work on the outer problem. Here at the spine, where the cause of the problem is where chiropractors are working. We work here at the cause of the problem instead of out here where the side effects take place. It's a different approach, but that difference makes a very big difference. If someone sticks a knife in your stomach, you do not need a chiropractic adjustment in your spine. If you get all cut up and you need stitches, don't go to a chiropractor. If you fracture a bone or need glasses or have cavities in your teeth, go to the right kind of doctor.